So, the spoilers are out for My Hero Academia, manga chapter 343, and let me just say this. The war has begun. And for what we see with the spoilers, we're gonna see how it starts. But first, right after this. Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Monkman Drew, and I'm here to cover the spoilers for My Hero Academia manga chapter 343, and from what we see with the titles, the title of this chapter is Let You Down, and yeah, there are some implications for that for what we see in the spoilers, but like I said at the beginning, from what we see with the spoilers in this chapter, most likely the war is going to begin, and I don't mean like literally begin as in like we see characters fighting, or we possibly do, but yeah, no. The war is about to begin. Both sides, villains and heroes, are about to fight, and we're going to see a little bit more of how we got to that point, as potentially what All For One's plan is, and how Aoyama is going to play a role in it. So, let's dive right into the spoilers when we have the chapter beginning with All For One in the cave saying that lies don't work against him. It's because of a quirk he stole from a man years ago, and that, ironically enough, one of his descendants operates side by side with All Might. And from what we see with the spoilers, it is probably referring to Sakachi, and this may be the case because his sister in the My Hero Academia Vigilantes manga has a quirk that allows her to tell if someone is lying by touch, and because Makoto has it, potentially she got it from her father, and All For One took it, so it's very heavily implying that he stole the quirk of Sakachi's father, who has the ability to tell if people are lying. So this explains how no matter what someone can do or say against All For One, they can't lie to him because he has a lie detector quirk, which makes sense for just the world to have a quirk like that and for him to have a quirk like it as well. And from the next line of text spoilers, we see that he is entering us a number in his phone and how he's calling Aoyama's mother, and how she passes off a message disguised as a conversation about wine, and how you have All For One saying that he's in the mood for mescal, and how she says that her son can deliver it to him the next day. Most likely this is code for Aoyama giving Deku to All For One, and how in this context is referring to uncle, All For One as uncle, and after the conversation is over, he confirms that to himself that no lies have been told. So, and this is pretty much set up for what we're going to get towards the end of this chapter, and how, from what we see, most likely this was all planned out by the heroes. And with the next line of text spoilers, and this is a long one, we then see Deku going to meet Aoyama with a cell phone in his hand. Yuga thanks him for coming, but Deku is confused because he thought that he was still in prison, and after answering that his parents' lawyers have arranged for his acquittal, Midoriya turns to run and tell the other students, but Aoyama stops him and asks if he would like to know the real plan of All For One. The destruction of Japan will be followed by a devaluation of the yen and the bankruptcy of many Japanese companies. The social instability will lead to an increase in the number of villains and widespread chaos. Being similar to the Great Depression or the period of rise of quirks, other countries will prioritize their own and deny any aid to Japan, but in the long run, this will lead to an international conflict where each seeks only to maintain international security. In this devastated scenario, who will be the one to provide water for the nations in need? Gas, electricity, all resources can be generated with quirks that All For One possesses. So the general idea of it is that All For One is going to cause like a Great Depression, or cause like it to return back to the period where the rise of quirks began, and how he's going to monopolize the entire world who need resources because he's going to be the one to provide them. Basically, he breaks the system so that he can be the solution to fixing it. And now with the next line of text spoilers, Midoriya says that it is still too early to predict the apocalyptic scenario since they are all still there to stop All For One. Aoyama apologizes and says that in the end, he still wants to protect the safety of his mother and father. As he cries, we see All For One floating behind him. Deku is shocked, and All For One praises Aoyama's actions, asking if it was his parents who told him about his final plan. He confirms and says that they promised that they would be happy in the world that All For One will create. Deku shouts that he trusted him, and Aoyama bows, crying and shaking. What he does next, ... turns around quickly and shoots a laser in All For One's direction. And from what we get with the next few lines of text spoilers, yeah, this was all a part of the hero's plan. Aoyama and Deku were acting and was able to trick All For One because he had a lie detecting quirk, and they were able to trick it in one way or another. From what we see, we don't know exactly how he was able to trick it or how the heroes were able to trick it, but they were able to accomplish it either way, as we see with the next line of text spoilers saying that All For One used an airwave to quickly mobilize and dodge the shot, calling Aoyama a fool. Deku starts saying that Aoyama's performance was realistic, and Aoyama replies that it was the only way to fool an opponent of that level, and adds that Deku himself was able to lie very well. Aoyama is still shaking, but shouts that he will face All For One to protect his parents. All For One is very confused, remembering the conversation that he had with Aoyama's mom and confirming once again that there was no trace of falsehood in her speech. He then decides to stop trying to look for an explanation and focuses on the fact that One For All is right in front of him. While taking off his jacket, he says that Tomura has observed many heroes using search during the war, and none of them are in the vicinity. Their chances of winning is nil. So yeah, like I said, that's the confirmation that they were able to trick them. All For One was... So yeah, that's more of... So yeah, they were able to trick All For One, and All For One is still being very facetious and being very arrogant in this decision, as he thinks that he already has One For All in his grasp. And apparently at this time, many villains begin to appear through the goo quirk used for teleportation, including Toga, Dabi, and Shigaraki. And when all seemed lost, a small portal begins to form behind Aoyama. Out of it comes Monoma, and soon after, a legion of heroes. Aoyama says that his parents said that the thing All For One hates the most is the fact that the rest of the world knows that Japan is not doomed to failure. A light of hope still shines, and if Japan holds on to, the whole world will come together. That is why they will defeat him here and now. End of chapter. So yeah, from what we see with the spoilers, like I said, the war is about to begin, and from what we see with some of these panels, we only get to see the pro heroes coming through the portals, as well as we get to see certain villains like stated Shigaraki, Dabi, Toga appearing from the goo, as well as some Nomu. But most likely than not, we are going to get a lot of the pro heroes, that we've seen, and most likely we're going to hopefully get the students into it, because there's a lot that we see in the spoilers, and if they are in the chapter, that many people predicted from what we saw last chapter, and that it's now coming into fruition. So overall, from what we see of the spoilers, this is going to be a very impactful chapter, because it is going to be the start of the second part of this war between the heroes and the villains, and how for the most part it's going to be a full free-for-all, and that neither side was able to get the advantage over the other. So all that's going to be left most likely is who is going to be stronger, and we're probably going to learn more about their plans, if not in this chapter, in the next few chapters. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about the spoilers for now. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if you did and you want to see more content like this, stick around, subscribe if you think that you want to see more content and want to get the spoilers on time. So yeah, hopefully you're able to do that, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in my next video. Goodbye!